Here's a question to you guys at home and to you, Zoe. When was the last you actually threw things away? Of course, it has to be trash that you find yourself so attached to.
Oh, yesterday. I was spring cleaning. Ironically, I was spring cleaning yesterday because when I saw a topic was about hoarding, immediately I was like, no, I have too much clothes at home. This Marie Kondo thing of, you know, holding things, giving you joy, you should keep it, really doesn't work for somebody like me. I need to throw it out because I am thinking, am I a hoarder? Am I borderline being a hoarder right now? Why can't I throw things, you know, that are sentimental to me, because at the end they're just items, right?
Yeah,
if I throw it, I throw it, I don't remember it, and I don't miss it.
But here's the thing: if you have space at home, okay, and you can store it properly, is it called hoarding?
Is it called hoarding?
That's the question. But you know, although I'm a coin collector, you know, so you got coin. You want to give me one coin? I buy that 1 ringgit coin. I'll give you. You have to pay 900 bucks, and then you give me that 1 ringgit coin. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, of course, as what Zoe was mentioning just now, 1 in every 50 Malaysians could be hoarders.
Yes.
So we would think that this is actually, you know, a senior citizen thing, you know, but young people as well, they are facing this kind of issue, especially when it comes to hoarding. They have to declutter their place and they find it very, very difficult to do so.
Exactly. It's more of a psychological issue or psychological disorder that is also linked to obsessive-compulsive disorder.
OCD?
But, yes, it's also linked to some part of OCD. So I'm going to speak to an expert because if I tell you, you're not going to believe me and I might give you the wrong information. So we have the consultant psychiatrist from MSU Medical Center, Professor Dr. MOHAMAD NAJIB bin Mohamad ALWI. Hello, Prof.
Hi, Zoe. Hi, Brendan. How are you?
Hello, Prof. We are okay, but we are a bit worried, to be honest, because we've got some stuff at home.
Yes.
They find it difficult to throw away. So are we hoarders?
How many coins have you kept so far?
Ayo.
Do you have like a whole book?
I'm struggling to get that 1 ringgit coin because nobody's going to release it for 900 ringgit. I'm just kidding.
I know where you can get Pasar Karat. Pasar Karat, confirm. They got 1 ringgit coins. But on a serious note, coming back to Brendan's question, what is the definition of hoarding and how is it different from being just a messy person?
The word hoarding comes, the synonym of hoarding is keeping, isn't it? So when you hoard something, that means you keep something, normally in a negative tone, excessively, a bit too much, and things that you don't need. Now, the thing is, you're right, probably 1 in 50 Malaysians do have some hoarding behavior, but not all of that are problematic. Probably that's what we're trying to discuss today as well. So basically, the main concept that we need to understand now, the difference between what we call as normative collecting and hoarding. Normative collecting means, you collect things, but you're quite organized, systematic, probably like Brendan. You know exactly where you're going to find your coins, for which year, which country, and so forth. And then whenever you want to find it, it's easy to find.
Okay.
Right.
Whereby when you're talking about hoarding here, you over-clutter things. You collect things excessively, sometimes things that you don't need, and then you don't keep them properly as well. So say you want to find that particular coin, you won't be able to find it because you kept it everywhere. And people who hoard, if you go to their house or apartments or whatnot, sometimes you have difficulty even to enter. That is very severe because everything is everywhere. And I think that's where the problem is.
Right.
Okay.
Scary.
It is very scary. Now coming back to what you just mentioned, you know, hoarding and all this kind of stuff, when it clutters, then it becomes a problem. Right, for Malaysians, especially probably people like us, we have lots of clothes at home, you know, and our wardrobe might just burst one day. So is that actually hoarding as well?
Well, people keep things for different reasons. There are actually 4 common reasons that people have written about. You know, I think it's normal. First of all, we keep things because we perceive that that particular item has some aesthetic value or of some utility in the future. You know, who knows, right? Or because of strong sentimental value. This was given by your ex-girlfriend many years ago.
No. I threw them all away.
So you keep it in your possession.
Okay.
Worries about the fate of that possession. Probably you think it's something that could be useful to somebody, to your organization, to your company, whatnot. So you're afraid if it goes into wrong hands, something might happen. And finally, fear of losing important information. Do you keep your certificate, Boy Scout certificate from primary school?
Oh,
Steve?
of course.
Oh, I do. I have a whole. I have a folder for it, specific
Okay.
Yeah.
school folder for
Yeah.
it, and I know exactly.
Because it's still very young. Imagine
Yeah.
yourself in your 60s or 70s. Would you still keep those?
Wow.
Oh, no.
That's a good question. I think, I don't know. I think I would, but that becomes collective already. It's not hoarding, right?
Yeah. The thing is, when people hoard things, it starts off very simple. You have certain things you think is important. So, okay, where to put it? Just put there on the shelf initially. And before you knew it, so messy already on the shelf. So many things you put there with all that intention. And then at some point, when you try to find it, you cannot find it anymore. That is cluttering, as we call it.
Okay, but could this be subjective though? What if you have space at home?
Okay, that's interesting. Normally, when we talk about hoarding here, is when we put things until even if you have a large space, it's not enough, or even if it's a large space, the way you put it so disorganized that you cannot find what you want. That is a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know, what's the psychological reason for people to hoard, other than emotional attachment to say items, or like you mentioned, the functionality of. Okay, for example, this piece of paper, I will probably use the back side tomorrow and end up not using it. So what's the psychological reason of us needing to hold on to things?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that this hoarding behavior is somewhat related to OCD, right? Yeah, because even in DSM-5, the classification of a psychiatric illness, they put that in the same cluster. Yeah, the thing is, I think everybody, like I said earlier, is a hoarder to some extent. But, when someone has that problem, they probably have it a bit more intense. It's like when they possess something, they find it very, very difficult to let go of it. Or sometimes their fear of losing the thing is so much that when even if you come to the house, you say, "Hey, friend, you are cluttering your house. Now, can I throw this away for you?" Even that, they feel very insecure and angry and whatnot. So that is the reason. And that's why you see several mental illnesses are very much related to hoarding. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few people with schizophrenia, for instance. Yeah, they are self-isolating in the room. You go to their room, it's all cluttered. And sometimes you have food from probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and also what else? People have with depression, severe depression. They don't go out, they don't eat, and before long, the room will be in such a situation that I think even they find it difficult to live in. Yeah, and several others. Of course, OCD, they present in many ways. Some of them, if their obsession is about collecting things, sometimes even small things that they don't need, then we have a problem here. Yeah, so.
Right. How do I identify myself as a hoarder versus somebody who, I love to shop. As I think the nature of my career, I'm required to have a lot of clothes. And that's why I was cleaning, by the way, because I felt like, this
Okay,
is
the clothes
this is
that you
too much.
threw yesterday,
Yes.
when was the last time you used them?
Depending on I was like, okay, this is probably like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But
Okay.
how do I necessarily identify myself as a hoarder? To what extent or to what limit can I say that, okay, you know what? I think this is too much. I'm hoarding too many things. I'm not being organized, or I actually have a problem. I need to see somebody and to seek help.
Okay. In DSM-5, which is the classification of mental illnesses, there are two things. I mentioned that earlier. Number one, you collect it too much until your lifestyle or your work is affected. Like someone who collects too many things and worried about it all the time, afraid of losing it, they might not be able to work properly. Some people, last time when we were during COVID, where people working from home, some people, they just refuse to show themselves on camera. Maybe because it's cluttered so much, everything. So if it's affecting your life, that's number one. Secondly, if it causes distress. You bought your things, but did you feel distressed about it? No. Then probably you don't have hoarding disorder.
Okay.
But you feel distressed, or your family members are so affected by it, sometimes it can cause divorces and many other things, because you collect things unnecessarily, even your spouse got angry about it, and you refuse to let go. That is when hoarding behavior becomes a disorder.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. All right, so that's actually how it happens. But you just mentioned, there are external factors as well, like depression, so on and so forth, right? But is there actually a step where it starts to happen, and how young would people start to face this kind of issue with not being able to let go? There could be a reason also behind this. For an example, if it starts with me, maybe it's because I love to keep stuff because I'm sentimental about it. And then it goes to another level and keeps rising and rising. What do you think about this?
There are several factors actually. There are people who hoarders who actually came from family of hoarders.
Oh, right.
They grew up, seeing their parents also, keeping a messy home and whatnot. So they're affected. Probably that's a norm. And most people also started very young. So, youngsters, they like to collect things, we start off, everybody, I suppose, collect those small cards, whatever.
Yeah, the football cards.
Yeah, football cards, everything, and start off with that. And then before long, you notice that you have so many things. Most of the time, a quote-unquote normal person would throw them away when they don't use it anymore. But if you start keeping it, before long, it becomes a clutter. And one thing about cluttering is after a while, you find it a bit too much. You don't even have time to really destroy or throw away some of the things, and you decide to let go. And the more you hoard, the harder it is to let go of those things. So, and that's why even when we say hoarding disorder, we're talking about years rather than weeks or days.
Yeah. It takes time to actually accumulate, a certain amount of stuff. I am brought back to back then, right? There was a show called Hoarders on TV.
Oh yeah.
And I used to. It's a cautionary tale whenever I watched it, but at the same time, it was quite cool seeing like the items that they keep.
Oh my goodness, instant noodles.
Sometimes they keep instant noodles. They keep like really odd things like nail clippings. Some of them even keep tooth, teeth, magazine articles, and all that. As a family member, if I see my friends, family, whoever that's close to me, I see them developing signs of being a hoarder. What can I do for them, and what should I do for them?
I think being a supportive family member or friend, or brother, sister, first and foremost, we need to sort of support them. Support in the sense that, we discussed earlier, there must be some reason why they hoard things. They feel there's some sentimental attachment to it or whatnot, and whenever you try to throw these things away, they get very upset. So slowly, tell them the advantages of having a clean room. I think, in fact, even for ourselves, so we have a small degree of hoarding, we should have some routine to help us prevent it from being too much already that we cannot cope. So we can use the same thing with our family members too. For instance, teach them and teach ourselves also if you are affected to have, say, for instance, every day, half an hour, 1 hour to declutter.
Wow.
Because you collect things every day. Sometimes things we bring from work, you buy from supermarket and whatnot. Declutter just quickly, and then make that a habit. So before long, it becomes part of you. So the result will come later. Secondly, I think again this applies for a family member or for yourself also. People start hoarding because they start buying. Before you buy anything, now 9 is coming soon, isn't it? Next week. People will buy anything. Of course, advertisements are meant to
attract you
to buy. But before you buy, before you press that button, think about it. Do you already have that? Do you need an extra one? Most importantly, are you going to need them later? I mean, are you going to use them at all? Some people, they bought different kind of dishes, never used and just kept there. And in the end, although you have a big house, you have nowhere to put, or you put it everywhere until, despite the big house, your house looks so messy. And finally, we need to, one good way to work it out systematically, every time you collect things, quickly divide them into 4 piles.
4
piles. Okay.
Number 1, things that you need, that you want, so you're going to keep, right? Put there. Number two, things that you may not need, how you decide whether these things you may not need later. You keep it first. After a while, after some months or whatever, you don't use it at all. So people say the rule of thumb is, if you don't use anything for about a year, probably you don't need it.
Yeah.
So just either give it to someone, or donate or something to charity or not. The third pile will be things I definitely want to throw away.
Okay.
Yeah, this especially things that you have bought for some time you don't use ever, and there's not much sentimental value. Just take away. If people don't even throw away things that they don't have sentimental attachment. And finally, this is most important. Things that remain undecided.
Oh.
I have a separate pile on that as well,
Yeah.
But of course, you're going to revise this from time to time. So it might go into one of these three bins. Yeah.
So it's basically a yes, no, maybe, definitely throw out pile.
Yeah.
All right.
But the fourth one, I have to say, is the hardest because it's undecided.
Yeah.
And then deciding it might take another type of
Exactly. Should I throw you in the trash now?
What? Michelle, she wants to throw me after coming back. More than 2 years. She wants to throw me.
Kidding.
Okay.
But I'm actually very curious. What are some of the common items do people hoard? Is it as easy as, like Brandon's coins, or is it...
Now, why you want to throw instant noodle?
I have
Instant noodle cups, yeah.
I have a long list.
Oh
here,
my goodness,
but
typical
I'm
Malaysians.
not going to read all.
Okay.
I think we've discussed most of it.
Okay.
Newspapers, magazines, old clothing, plastic bags, books, mails, paperwork,
Wow.
virtually everything that can keep. And finally, we haven't discussed at all. Electronic data and emails. I am old enough to be alive during the time when email was first introduced. We have so small memory store, so you have to delete some of your old emails.
Thumb drive,
And once your mailbox is full, you cannot receive any more email. So you have to be disciplined systematically, probably maximum once a month, to delete some of your not important or unneeded emails. Nowadays, can I mention Google?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Google.
With Google, you will subscribe for 1 terabyte or whatever. You never delete anything. You even keep your spam mails, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, she does.
I'll admit, I still have emails from 2016, 2015, because, like you said, that feeling of, because the other day, my producer was like, hey, Zoe, do you have scripts from this day in 2020? And I was like, oh, I do, I have it. See, this is the day. So that kind of mentality or that kind of thinking of like, one day I might use it, one day I might need it, one day it might be helpful, is very, very detrimental.
That day may not come at all.
Exactly. Except for that one rare day when my producer actually asked for the script and I didn't have it.
And then if you don't have it, that becomes a problem. But yeah, so thank you so much for actually sharing with us. But let's say if there's an advice you'd like to give out to all Malaysians out there who's probably maybe even facing, a tiny bit of actually being a hoarder, what would you say to them?
Okay, now, the thing is, like I said, everybody is a hoarder to some extent. I'm one of them as well. I have things that I don't need. But most importantly is, to keep it to the minimum and have the discipline. I know I was talking to people before this show. Every office now, especially government offices, we have that 5S sticker on the desk.
Oh, yes.
Do you follow that actually?
We don't.
That's the thing. We have reminders, everything, but we're not disciplined at keeping things clear. So this one author, she's a psychologist, who gave a very nice tip actually. We have tabletops or spaces, at home. We have tabletops at home, at work. Try, she said, if possible, to keep that clear.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So if it's your desktop at work, so you only have your laptop, okay, probably 1 or 2 books that you want to refer to at that particular point. The rest of the time, it should be clear. Very hard for me to do as well, being a lecturer. Okay, and secondly, have a top drawer thingy where you keep the most important things that you want to access all the time.
Okay.
That includes probably a stapler or whatever, whatever they want to keep. So you know that when you want to access it, you have it there. And the rest of it, try to sort of store it systematically. Buy some storages, but not too much. That's also her tip. Why? Because nowadays people also have this habit of having buying too many storage, you know, on Lazada or whatnot. In the end, it becomes a new clutter.
It's a new way of cluttering things. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Mohamad Najib bin Mohamad Alwi, consultant psychiatrist from MSU Medical Center. Thank you so much for being here with us. It was fun. Zoe.
Exactly.
Go and clean your house.
I'm in the midst of cleaning my house.
I saw.